Nice weekend for some tarot, I think. Welcome. And I'm going to sally forth with the perhaps ill-advised attempt to read another 10-card spread, the Celtic Cross. A day or two ago, I did a reading with the Celtic Cross, meant to sort of launch us into the weekend. And now I'm going to do one. And what I'm going to do is kind of say that this is an in-depth reading centered around the subject matter of things we have planned or half thought about wanting to do, feeling inspired at times and wondering if we could do that thing and how it might turn out and if we have any business trying it. That kind of thing that creative people tend to deal with a lot, these feelings. So let me start shuffling the cards. I'm shuffling the tarot cards as much as seems appropriate. I make it up as I go along, especially if I'm using an app and not a real deck. It's the same idea. If you're randomizing things and you're going to do it for some sort of a spiritual purpose, fortune telling, quote unquote, purpose, you do that kind of action, that shuffling or mixing up action, until something tells you you've done plenty and the moment has arrived when all the stars and universal connections and synapses in your brain all happen to just magically align in that one moment where you feel like there is something magic about to happen. This doesn't mean that the tarot is magic. Magic has applications wider than making things go poof out of existence into thin air or appear in reverse from thin air. Magic has to do with the mind and the personality and perception. Highly perceptive people, it's the same as the statement about technology. Any sufficiently advanced technology appears to be magic. Any sufficiently perceptive person appears to be using magic. And this explains psychics. They are 1 out of 27,000 psychics is just a perceptive person. The other 26,999 psychics are actually criminals. So this should be self-evident to any functioning human being above the age of 6.5 who learned to read. Apparently, it's not always, but the tarot has absolutely no connection to psychics whatsoever. None. Absolutely zero. This is a popular misconception about the tarot. Psychics have nothing to do with tarot. Any person representing themselves as a psychic is up to their own shenanigans. Who knows what it is? A tarot deck is just a tarot deck. It can be used by anyone. It is free and open to all. You need no psychic powers or advanced degrees in how to rip people off. You can read the tarot deck just as well as I can. The only reason I'm doing it on a stream is because I want to be. And so this is why, and here I am doing tarot, and you would maybe assume the opposite. I'd never, ever really honestly walk into a psychic storefront with a neon sign and ask for anything, because the chances are 1 in 27,000 that you're talking to a person, a legitimate practitioner. And that's not good enough, especially, Now, if somebody said that they were just doing tarot readings, and they did not say, come and visit the psychic. I am a clairvoyant. I can tell you things. I can tell you what will happen. You don't go in there. Come on. That's like walking into a car wreck on purpose, right? Yes. We all know this. We all know it. We may pretend to believe otherwise. We may argue until we're blue in the face with people about this, but it's just us trying to fool ourselves because we're so attached to some feeling we have about psychics or this or that psychic. But a person can certainly and legitimately say, I'll give you a tarot reading. And they don't need to represent themselves as being somehow clairvoyant. In other words, being able to see anything via supernatural means. Now, they can certainly see things via the means of acutely perceptive talents. Absolutely, they can do that. There are people I've met that are highly perceptive, and really you sometimes are taken aback at what somebody can perceive about you and what they can tell you and how helpful it can be, or simply just how surprisingly correct it can be. This has nothing to do with the supernatural. In fact, we should just sort of assume that the word supernatural is just a stand-in for perception. And what is the other word? When somebody's makes a very astute remark, they're intelligent. They see small things and they induce from those things certain they make assumptions based on very limited input, or they're able to deduce things very cleverly from what they know. Now, hopefully, the person is using those talents for good purpose. The purpose of doing this kind of thing, of reading tarot, picking up a deck of cards, is whether you're doing it for money or not, it's the same purpose. There's nothing wrong with doing it for money if you're straightforward and honest and you don't pretend to be something that no human being that's ever walked the face of the planet has ever actually been, which is clairvoyant. As long as you maintain that direct common sense honesty, then of course you should be paid for it just as well as anyone building a table would be paid for their skill and labor, or anyone working behind a counter or a cash register. You pay people to do things, and they do them honestly in a straightforward manner, and there's a fair exchange. A tarot reader is using their skills, their talents, their knowledge, their experience to help. At least that's the idea. And being paid for that is legitimate and healthy and is a business. You don't have to. No, there's nothing wrong. And someone who is doing it as part of a business really has no business telling someone who's doing it without being paid to stop that. You get this a lot in various activities or professions. You get photographers constantly browbeating other photographers to stop offering their work for free, stop posting your work for free. You're tearing down the whole photography profession you're devaluing photographs, and you make it so easy for people to try to not pay a photographer for their work. The answer to that is that's their problem. That's not my problem. That's your problem. If you're having trouble with clients wanting you to work for free, that's your trouble. That ain't mine. If I am not having a problem offering my photography for free, then I ain't having the problem. You're having the problem. So go deal with your own business and your own clients, and don't tell other photographers how to do what they love to do, whether or not they should be paid, who they should offer what to. Every artist is their own. No artist needs to be part of your fishnet. No artist has to necessarily be connected to another artist and their business. They are free. It's open. They can do whatever the hell they like. They can offer all of their paintings or photographs or their poems or their novels for free to everybody to read for here until kingdom come. Okay? And the same goes for a tarot reader. A tarot reader is not a clairvoyant. He's not a psychic. She is an artist practicing an art. And that art, like most arts, elevates people. And I, as an artist, I would never use my tarot knowledge, anything I know about tarot, to try to make people feel less than they did 5 minutes earlier. The whole point is to do things or put things out there, lay things out there that very gently sort of create kind of a little bit of a better mood around things. It's very important, I think, to just create a little bit of a better mood, because we get a whole lot of like weird moods now that you're exposed to. Like as soon as you wake up and you fire up your phone and you look on the screen and you see you see comments or something that people are making, and they're snarky and mean and nasty. And that's like not, everybody's done it. I've done it. Everybody's played that game, because sometimes it's fun, it's fun. You feel like, hey, I got you, sucker. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like, and then they say something, you're like, oh, shoot. Oh, really? That's me? Oh my God. And you're like up and down and all around. And it's just like, so it doesn't actually elevate. It just kind of wears you down, and it drags you down slowly. And you end up, after hours of that or days of that, wondering why you're not feeling good. You're like, did I miss a meal or something? Why is my mood so crappy? Maybe I get some coffee, I'll feel better. That's not what it is. It's that you've been tearing yourself down gradually by engaging in stuff that's like grit in the gears. Grit gets in the gears of life, and tarot is oil in the gears. It's very high grade, crystal clear, super slick oil in the gears of life and the life of your feelings, of your heart. That's what tarot is. And I think that, for me, is how it should always be used, whether it's being offered for free or not. And many things like that should be offered for free. In fact, if you're getting paid to do tarot readings, I think it's also nice to do something for free, because there are people that would really love tarot and they'd benefit very greatly from it. And in fact, you're only helping because you're actually helping people who make money from tarot by doing things for free if you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it properly, you're doing it well, or you're doing it for like with a real feeling. Because then you're making other people become aware of tarot and what it does for benefit, and they just spread the word, right? It's like anything. They're like, you bring people into the fold when you do things for free with the right attitude. If you're trying to elevate people, then those people come into the fold and they want to be there, and everybody's an equal. Everybody's an equal. The person doing the tarot, in this small example, it's me, is simply a part of a group that slowly starts to form, and people want to come and listen, but those listeners are the same. They're on the same. Everybody is equal in the group. Everybody shares like their abilities in a group. The listener, or the questioner, shares their own ability to understand very subtle qualities and suggestions from the tarot, and their ability to sort of open their mind to it is critical to growing the whole sort of population of people who have an idea of tarot that's positive and understands like what it actually is. It takes away that sort of suspect connection to people that are less than trustworthy that a lot of people have about tarot. They're like, what? I don't, and it's that because often, I have actually had this experience where people are like, oh, I heard about people who do tarot. I even had that reaction once, many years ago, before I actually started learning tarot. Somebody told me at a party that they had been, at one point in their early working days, they had been a tarot card reader for a while. And my instant reaction was, sure. Yeah, I know what that was all about. You were just a scam artist, huh? Yeah, let's hear more. And that was my gut reaction. And then when I actually stumbled across my first deck, I I recalled at that moment, oh, this is what that person was talking about and they were doing. And so I bought it, and I was like, wow. And I read the little teeny book inside. I was like, this is fascinating. This is actually really interesting. And then I forgot about it for a while, and then came back to it, and then forgot about it and came back. You know what I mean? Up and down. But anyway, that's the idea. A tarot should elevate and put oil in the gears of life. It's really very simple, and it doesn't require supernatural abilities to do that. And while I was talking, of course, the one thing I forgot to do was keep shuffling. But I think I've shuffled plenty, and I'm going to begin. Let's pick a card out of this big rectangle. Let's take this guy on the end. Number 1 position of the 10. This is the central focus of what we're talking about. And as I said before, we're reading about that thing you decide you want to do. You kind of half daydream about it. You sort of want to do it, but you don't quite. You're like, I can't really do that. Come on. Well, it could be becoming a tarot reader or something. So it's that kind of thing. We're reading about that. So here we have the first card, and it's the Page of Wands, and the Wands very creative, and it's reversed. And so, of course, There's our hesitation. There's our, a half-baked dream idea, commonly known as a pipe dream by many. It keeps coming up though, but we're hesitant. So this is the perfect card to express that, because the page, he wants to know what the heck he's doing, right? Or she wants to know what they are doing, and they can't figure it out yet, and so they can't possibly imagine actually doing it quite yet. So they've got a lot to learn. This is what this reversal means in this reading, that obviously it started out with a bang, because the spread seems to be aware supernaturally of this concept of not quite being able to do something that we've always kind of dreamed of doing. Now let's go hunt for a second card, which will be the current obstacle, something we feel like, is all we have to get past in order to even imagine doing this thing we want to do. So I'm going to take this card. Oh, okay. Well, the 13th card comes up, and of course, this is commonly understood to be the death card. Death, though, I mean, it doesn't mean getting hit by a car. What it means the death of something. It means something goes bye-bye. And but we're dealing with an agricultural sort of a skeleton there. He or she is reaping and sowing. He's, in other words, tilling, getting all those things falling to the ground. They get sort of chopped up and mowed under into the dirt. And of course, that's good. That's what makes the dirt rich and ready for planting. So something has to go, some barrier. This is, of course, an obstacle. Well, we could be worried about doing what we always wanted to do. We're thinking, oh my gosh, no, I can't do that. Oh my God, that could lead to disaster. It could be fear. It could be represent, this card could represent, this fear has to die off and go away. Something's got to change massively in order for me to do this dream. Open the bookstore I've always wanted to open. Write the novel I always wanted to write. Write the screenplay I always wanted to try to sell. But I just haven't been able to get myself to do it. Well, this death card, nameless card, is there to show us how serious this obstacle to actually doing this really is in our psyche. Okay, so now let's go to the third, the root cause, inner factor. This is a very unconscious sort of element in what's part of this story of us wanting to write our novel, okay? Okay, 5. And it's no, wait. I think it's a little small. I can't quite read it, but it's the 5. It's the 5 of Pentacles. And yes, it for some reason I can't see the screen very well, but we'll get to it, and we'll get to whether it's reversed or not. But the 5, look, the 5 is, we could be worried about money. It could be that we don't understand how to sufficiently finance what we want to do, or we're worried that it'll take our attention. I can't do it because of my job. I work 8 hours a day doing this or that. There's no way I have time to do this thing I want to do. How am I ever going to do it? I'm never going to quit my job to do this. That's what this could be. Because the 5 is a number of something comes in and destabilizes us and makes us kind of, there's inspiration, but also fear involved in the 5. It's worrisome when something it unsettles what we're used to, or the idea that, oh my God, if I go and I try to open my bookstore, I'm going to have to quit my job. And who knows what'll happen. That's that kind of worry in the 5, okay? And this is an unconscious fear that we have, which is very normal. Now let's go to the 4th thing, which is sort of something that's leaving us, the fading past influence. Empress. So the Empress reversed. That means that there's kind of a severe lack of energy or nourishment that we require to be inspired and to make things. there's a lack of support. We don't know where to turn for support. We don't know where to turn for that helpful word. It's a little difficult. It could be some close family member or someone that just doesn't respect or you think would giggle if you brought up what you wanted to try to make or do. But that is something we're kind of pushing aside. We're ready to leave that now, that negativity, that thing, that negativity that squanders our energy and represses our natural instinct to make this thing or start this thing. Okay. Now let's go up to 5, which is the conscious thing, conscious thoughts that we tell ourselves we need to do. Intention. This is good. Okay. We have the 2 of Pentacles. So down here we have the 5. I don't think that's reversed either. That's but we now have the 2, which is the coming together of resources or someone who understands you very well and coming together and joining and becoming stronger and preparing ourselves to be able to do what it is we sort of dream about doing. That's a good sign. And that's something that the reading is saying, keep this in mind and keep telling yourself this, that this is what you need. So you're always on the lookout for the joining of forces or the joining of 2 personalities, or you're getting close to someone that does give you the help you need. And this could be financial here. It could be that. There's something to pay attention to that you can kind of get closer to because it will be a help in getting you moving forward. And then 6, near future, sort of what's coming. 2 of Wands. Wands again, creative. This again reinforces the coupling. We now have the coupling of the coins, which is the wherewithal to do something, and we have the coupling of the wands, which is the energy and the will to do this thing that we dream about. That's good. That's coming for us. Let's go to our personal self-image, kind of what we say to ourselves about ourselves when we think about ourselves. Okay. 9. The 9 is a tricky, it's a very vaporous sort of an idea. It's hard sometimes for me to grasp what the 9 is, and this is in the heart. This is the feelings, our emotions for this, and this is what we tell ourselves. The 9 is a kind of an abundance in that you're right there at the end of something and you're filling up with feelings about it, but it also means you're not quite there yet. And you have to use all of those resources and all of that energy, what you've accomplished so far, to finish, to persevere and push it through to the end goal. That 9 is tough because it's got a positive and kind of a negative aspect, or a positive aspect, but also a hardship aspect. It's tough. It's like tough love card. It's like the point in a project or a development where you get a little black and white about things. You're like, I can't do it. It's gonna fail. I can't get there. I should drop it. This was foolish. But you really are almost there. That's why it's got this positive and hardship quality battling each other. But what you're telling yourself here is, I actually would love to do this. I really do have to continue trying to follow my heart, even though it's hard, even though I'm worried in these other cards about work, about money, about something dying off in me or ruining something. I've got to get past that because I got to follow my heart. And that's what we're saying to ourselves here with this card. Let's move to the outer social influence card, which is the card that talks about how other people may be seeing us and what they're sort of whispering about us. a reversal, Four of Swords, they might think that we're kind of a little nuts because the 4 is a very stable, solid number. But when it's reversed, it can indicate exactly the opposite. It can indicate, and in this case, if it was not the outer social card, how other people see us, I'd sort of think it might indicate stagnation and being closed up in your own little room. But because it's about how other people see us, it's more likely that it's, God, they're like a little cuckoo, man. They come up with these weird ideas all the time. Right? They keep talking about this bookstore they want to open. It's like, come on, man. Nobody's been in a bookstore around here for 30 years. That's nutty. That's what that card is saying, okay? Now, come up to the 9th position, hopes and fears. Well, you've got the world reversed. You've got sort of the card representing full integration and success and like a very, a personality basically enjoying the dance of life and existence, and not. So we're still worried here. This is obviously leaning into the fear, not the hope. We are afraid that if we pursue these dreams, it's possible that we'll end up worse than we are now. And that fits right in with that worry about something dying off in the 2nd card position with the nameless death card. That worry that something is going to end and we can't quite see that it could be an end for the better and lead to some future growth of a new thing. And this worries us. So we're like, oh God, I don't want to tear my life. I don't want to blow my life up, basically. Okay, now let's go to the final 10th card, the likely outcome. What card will I pick? I'm just going to wait until my little brain goes bing. There it is. Aha! Okay, we have the Strength card upright in the final position. Strength, it's all about mastery. And really, it's mastery of oneself and the situation, of course, and mastery of things that seem unmanageable and wild and often cause us fear. The things that really disturb us under the surface all the time in a deep way and come out in our dreams and nightmares. Our ability to handle those things and work with them. We don't have to kill them off, but we understand them. We observe them, and we begin to calm the waves of the storm at sea, and we're able to let things kind of flow. And we're like, yeah, that is scary. I do have those fears, but those are just fears. And I can kind of watch them. I can kind of recognize what scares me, and I'm able to master it. I'm able to handle that. That's a skill. And this reading is now pointing toward this ability to develop mastery of what appears throughout a lot of this reading to be deep-seated worry and fear about starting our own thing. And part of that is influenced by this 5th position card. Again, we'll go back to the 2 of coins with that coupling I mentioned of coming closer to someone or some resource that you know will help you in this. And you have to keep reminding yourself just to notice when that moment arrives and seize the moment. And that will heavily influence your ability to develop the strength required to manage your worries and your doubts about yourself, opening your new bookstore or writing your novel or becoming a poetess or anything it is you want to do that you kind of lie there before you fall asleep dreaming about possibly doing at some point. these dreams are important to have, but they can also cause that doubt. You know, the 13th card, the nameless card showing up, the worry about new ideas and new approaches and whether or not I'll be able to sustain myself if I make this leap. You know, the strength card at the end is such an important positive message to, and look, the tone has been determined in this to be mildly advantageous. So there are these doubts, but the final card really swings the reading into the advantageous sector. What did I write about likely outcome? I wrote in this thing. See, I've been just pontificating on my own here without even reading my own app text. But what I said was strength represents great creative potential and conscious mastery of instinctive animal nature and unconscious mind. There is new energy and a rebirth of confidence in the self. So I think that's a nice way to sort of understand this process of coming to terms with one's dreams about doing creative things. I see you, knees. I've been looking at the reading on this screen all this time, and I have not been looking at the chat at all until this moment. Now I'm looking at it, and welcome, knees. And if you would like me to do a reading, that's kind of what I'm here for. Let me know. I'm going to open up a queue. Where is my queue? Hold on. Let me switch over to this one. And yeah. And I just opened the queue. So now you can actually join. What I usually do is while I'm doing my initial talking or an initial read of a general sort of a spread, I leave the queue off. Okay, knees, you stay right there, and I'm picking you. I have to run into the other room quickly. To be honest, I have something I have something in the dryer, and the alarm just went off, so I've got to go take it out. I'm going to run to the next room, and I'll come right back. Okay. Okay. All right, knees. I am back. Let me have a quick sip of coffee. So it's just a dryer, I swear. I mean, what I was drying a comforter. I went through this thing where I decided everything needed to be like fully washed, and so I did all those like linen things, you know. It like becomes a big project. So I left the, you know, it's one of those comforters with like feathers in it. So it's like when you put it in the wash thing, it's like poofy and it fills. But it looks like it dried. So, all right. So knees, go ahead and ask whatever you want, and I'm going to start shuffling cards. And, you know, you can be as general as you like. I mean, tarot's not going to tell you what to do, but it'll give you maybe a new window into something. Oh, thank you, Angelic. Yeah, I love doing those 10 card readings. It's like the Celtic Cross, you know, it's really a hard spread to beat. You know, it's that's why it's so classic. It just says it all. All right, knees, your question. You feel lost in life and don't know what to do next, like stay in your home country or go abroad to a different country to find purpose. Okay. Let's do a little more shuffling. And as I said earlier today, the shuffling is one of those things that you do while putting your mind on the questioner to the best of your ability, to what they've just said to you. And in a case like this, I don't know you, I can't see you, but I have your thought, the way you've conveyed it to me. And here, I've got a card already. So what we do is we look at this 3-card reading, and I've been calling this little 3-card spread my mountain peak reading lately. It's a 3-card reading that just simply elevates the middle card, simply for the purpose of sort of punching up that central motif. And we're going to look at we look at the cards without really predetermining what the cards represent, other than it's a little mountain with something that emerges as sort of the most visible or the focal point of the mountain. And then you have the two sort of sides going down to the base of the mountain, which are heavily influencing this central issue, is heavily influencing where we want to go. And I tend to lean toward the card on the left here being a more unconscious sort of an influence, and the card on the right here being a more conscious kind of an influence, okay? Wands, creative energy, 6, reversed. What does this tell us right away before looking at the other cards? The 6 of Wands, we're talking about the creative fire. When you feel lost, it often has a connection to not fully knowing what you want to be doing with your time, where you want to apply your energy. What does your gut tell you you're truly interested in? What makes the fire light in the match? The wands are the creative fire that lie behind love and relationship, art, work, anything that inspires, gets your juices going so that you want to move forward with whatever it is you're doing. You want to try to achieve something. You want to make something. You want to write something. You want to be something. And when you're indecisive, it's hard to know that about you. It's hard to decide what is it that really gets me. What do I feel like I'd be really happy doing at the age of 90 that I just want to keep doing the rest of my life, you know? And the 6 is the number of harmony and success and just enjoying the beauty of what you've accomplished and sharing it and letting the wealth spread around. It implies very effective communication and your ability to be with others and enjoy and share in the benefits of your creative energy. And this is reversed. So there's a central issue here with you feel lost, and so that's having an effect on your ability to tap your creative energy. And when you see, decisions about what to do in life or where to go are often easier when you're able to say, I want to go and create rugs. I'm just picking that out of the air. I want to be a rug maker. I like making rugs. I like working with cotton looms, and I like making all the threads come together. It's really fun. I took a class in it and I'm good at it, and I want to make rugs. So where can I most easily get a loom and the material I need to make rugs? Can I do it right here where I am? And if I pick making rugs and find that, wow, I really love this, 5 years could go by and I never want to leave right where I am, because why would I? I'm making my rugs. I love it. I don't need to be somewhere else making my rugs. You see what I mean? So where to go is often connected with what you enjoy doing. And this restriction here that this card is indicating as a primary issue, so there might be something here that the card is saying about an ability to engage openly with others, to share your ideas, it possibly means that talking to other people about things you might want to do actually will help. That there may be, it's reversed because there's been a lack of communication with others that could in fact inspire you and really help. And just opening up and sharing your any sort of creative impulse you may have had could provide you with a completely unexpected answer. Okay, now let's look at the outside cards. Okay, the first thing we have on the left, which is sort of the unconscious foundation of our little mountain, and that's going to influence how this central point is handled. You have the page, otherwise known as the valet of wands. These two suits are the same. This is a much longer lasting quality that you have, and that is the quality of being enthusiastic and learning, your ability to learn, your ability to adapt, your ability to say, I know I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea how to make a choice right now. That's what pages are all about. They're all about the problem you're having right now, deciding where to be and what to do. That page is that problem. But the page is always just fine having that problem because the page is confident that it will come in time as they think about things, as they learn more. In other words, it could represent any kind of learning. It could be taking a class in pottery. It could be taking a short writer's workshop one week. Any little thing, it could be watching a YouTube video about something that really interests you. Anything like that. The page becomes very keyed into and is like, this could be it. This could be it. I'm going to give it its full potential. I'm going to open my mind to it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to try it. Everything I look at, I'm going to try. And then they find that things start to happen. Wheels start to turn that they didn't even know were wheels. Okay? That's what that is. And that means it's in your unconscious mind as one of your powers that you're able to use, and you're not even really aware of it. But the card is saying, now you're aware of it because I'm telling you. So remember, you got me there. You got me. I'm the page. I'm there with you. You've always got me to look back and say, oh my, that page says, don't get bored. Keep looking, because it'll come. Okay? Now, on the right, you have a reversal again, and this is sort of the conscious area. And the Four of Cups is your heart and your feelings and emotions about things. And it's kind of locked up, but it's in the right side here, which means you're aware of that because that's in your question. You're aware of the fact that you're kind of locked and you don't know what to do. And so the card is saying, okay, let's keep thinking about that problem. Keep thinking about how you feel. How does it make you feel when you start to analyze this problem of not being able to decide what you should be doing or where you should be? Follow your feeling. That's what this card is warning you to do or suggesting that you do. It knows you're locked. It knows your feelings are sort of shut down. That's why it's reversed. But the reason it's there as one of the supportive structures of the little mountain is to say, keep your eye on how you feel moment to moment when you're thinking about this problem. Don't distract yourself with some nonsense or a TV show. Think about it, because this page here is under the surface and is more than capable of enjoying themselves and learning everything they need to do and figuring themselves out. This is the most powerful card in this reading because it's a court card. That means that it's a significant aspect of the situation and your personality that doesn't just sort of fade in and out on a daily basis. It's there for quite a while, and it's a reliable power. So you have this restriction, this confusion about what to do and where to be. And what the cards are saying is rely on that inner enthusiastic person that's in there that loves to learn things and check things out and investigate. And it will light the match of your creative spirit, and you will almost miraculously know what it is you want to do simply by looking around and keeping your eyes open and remembering that that page, that character there, is underneath the surface in you, always at work. You can't close that page down. He's always going to be there. And it will unlock your heart, and you will know your feelings. And this 4 will, of course, be turned and transform into the very powerful, secure understanding. And you will go, oh, I know what this is what I love. All this time, I've actually loved putting flowers in vases, and it never occurred to me that I could actually be a flower designer. You know, it's like that's how things work. Yes, we'll do a clarification on page. Hang on a second. Three of Cups reversed. The 3 is the number of action. The card is telling you, don't force your feelings. That's what the reversal means. The card is saying, make no sudden moves about trying to decide what it is you love to do. It's not necessary. And that is the clarification of the page, because the page does not require rapid action or decision. The page is there, constantly willing and perfectly happy to be a completely confused, undecided person, because the page knows that they have that, they love the entire process. Okay? And they know they're simply young, they don't know yet, and but they have absolute confidence that they're gonna know, or they just have to keep their eyes open. And the 3 is simply saying, yep, that's right. There's no pressure to figure out quickly what it is you would really love to do. Give it its time. Let it percolate like a good cup of coffee, or steep like a good cup of tea. Give it its time. The page is the key here. The page is the force, the power of your personality underneath the surface to unlock the issues that the other cards have. Basically, they've just repeated what your question said. The other cards are basically just saying, yeah, that's the problem. And the page sort of approach to life is the correct sort of understanding about what your actual capabilities really are. And they have to do with taking the time you need, because you know you're going to learn what it is. You're going to figure it out. That's what the page says. Oh, I'm going to figure this out. It's not a big deal. I'm going to get this, and then watch out. Then watch out, because I'm going to take this wands thing and just go. So that's basically what's going on. That is the nutshell idea. That's what the little mountain peak. I have to stick with Mountain Peak for the name of this, this spread, because it's what came out of my mouth 2 days ago, and I've got to stick with it. It might be kind of silly, but just what I called it. So you can see that I I ran out earlier to a drive-through to get some lunch, which is bad. But I got coffee also from, those people, that Yellow Arch place. But their coffee is actually pretty good. Cheers, knees. Yeah, tarot is so fun when it's, the tarot just like, I don't know. I like the way it, it sometimes just sort of, when you do a reading and you look at the spread, it just sort of tells you, how the cards fit together. The story of any one little reading, it emerges, in the moment. It's like becomes clear looking at the cards in that one particular arrangement, and you almost never see the same. I don't think I've ever seen the same cards in the same order. Oh, yeah. So I was long ago. I mean, when was it? Because, I don't know, maybe 25 years ago, I might have bought my first deck. But I remember, that's the hard thing about tarot is, like, I think very few people find the tarot and then immediately just keep going with it. I think usually what happens, and what happened with me, is that you read about it and you read like part of the little booklet, and then you kind of get tired. It's like, whoa, this is weird. It makes my brain hurt. And you put it down and you might not see it again for a year. And then you pick it up a few times over a period of a few years. And then finally, after you maybe read a book, you go and you buy a book. There's a book, hang on. There's a book I read. Oh yeah, hold on. So at some point years ago, I went and I found this book. And it has like a picture of a hermit on the front, but it's really a kind of a big book. And it's essays on, yeah, I do. And the thing is, it's written. It was written by an unknown person. I think they figured out who it was now, but Catholic cardinal or someone like that. But it's a book. It's called Christian Hermeticism. It's Meditations on the Tarot: A Journey into Christian Hermeticism. So it's basically this person writing about each of the major cards with a very sort of a religious perspective. And that's something I usually never really was interested in very much. But this book is written with a very open sort of understanding of Christianity and trying to see how the characters and the cards of the tarot are part of or connected to their, I guess, Catholic, ultimately, if they're a religion. And I thought that effort was like, it was really, it's an interesting read. And I read it and I was like, wow, this is interesting whether you're a Christian or not. It doesn't really matter. It's because it has like a freedom, the way it's expressed. I don't know. It just doesn't, It doesn't try to say you need to be a Christian and you must interpret the tarot in the Christian way. God never does that. And so that reading those essays slowly over the course of like 6 months or so, because some of them are kind of long, was actually a really nice way to. It made me go, wow, I got to keep going with this tarot thing. And so, as anybody would do, I just started doing readings for myself. You just do readings. You just sit and read for yourself, and that's how you learn. And then I went out. I bought a regular tarot book. A book by someone, a tarot reader about reading tarot, and then I started accumulating more. So, because a lot of them are really actually fun to read. And, but so, and part of the reason I really like this book still is it doesn't follow the typical structure of a tarot book. Most tarot books have the same sort of pattern to them. This one is like totally its own thing. And it's just the major cards. So, yeah. And well, I don't really read books on astrology. What I do is I like to read about the tarot, and I like to read the I Ching. I also like to read books on alchemy. I also like to read books on, psychotherapy, like Jung, philosophy at times, although recently I have not. No, I actually have. I read a book called The Kybalion, which is sort of a metaphysical book, old, like written, I don't know, I think it was early 20th century. But so yeah, reading's great because you can pick up other ideas, things you hadn't thought of. But astrology, I just don't really know. It comes in at times. The more you read about tarot, the more you come across, its connections with astrology and how the two things sort of link here and there. But I've never really understood astrology very well because it gets highly technical with timing and dates and what's in what, and it's such a complex system that I think if you're doing tarot and really sort of figuring out your approach to tarot, that's complicated enough for someone like me. And I can only really take very sort of general astrology ideas into account. Now, that I probably will try to read a little bit more about astrology because there are some really interesting ideas in it. I just don't understand all the stuff about planets, and it gets too much for me. I'm just like, I just can't figure that out. It's, I kind of just need to be told that, Sagittarius likes to take bold action, stuff like that. If you start mentioning what planet is in what, I'm like, what? Oh, what do you mean? Or the moon? Where was the moon when you were born? It's like, well, I don't know. So, and neat and tight. I don't know. I like tarot to be a little messy actually, but I do like to know that I have a general approach that works for primarily the court and number cards. I feel like having some sort of a system there is important. Less so talking about the major cards, where those are very esoteric. They're very dream image, and being too specific about the majors is really not where I want to be. I'm a little fuzzier with those. I let those kind of exist as dream images that have multiple interpretations, so sort of in the same general ballpark, maybe. So, and the good news is that when I went to get my comforter out of the dryer, it actually dried, which surprised me because of all those there are feathers in there. I was like, this is never going to dry in one cycle. But it did. Page of Wands, man. I'm telling you, it's a good court card. I almost, as a personal thing, I like the page cards, and I didn't used to, but I kind of like them more than the king and queen cards. Because they're like young and they're learning all the time. They haven't really decided on anything yet. And that's actually, there's a lot of power in that, a lot of potential in that. When you're not quite, you haven't fully developed your style or your technique yet. You're still flexible. Oh, and looking back at a comment that Nees made, some people know early on what to do. Yes, it's true, but some people are also wrong early on. Have to remember that. It's very easy early on to think you want to do something and then you still have more growth to do and don't realize that you're still in a highly changeable state. And well, that's okay though. If you look at this reading, being in a highly stagnant cycle, you're going to get through it, because if you keep your eye on that page, even as just a little like a mantra, like you just stop and take 3 deep breaths and just say, what would the page do? That's really all you need. It's basically a form of meditation. What would the page do? The page wouldn't go running, wouldn't jump on a train real quick and assume that they had to go somewhere right away no, they wouldn't do that. The page is comfortable with themselves taking the time they need to get there. In my own case, I was one of those people that early on decided what I wanted to do, and I was wrong. And I changed it, but it took time. And I kind of feel like I would have actually been better off not knowing early on what I wanted to do. That actually it ended up being a hindrance, because then I had to change later. and back up a little bit. You see what I'm saying? You know, what you pick early on just isn't necessarily what you're going to actually pick. So keep that in mind, because the page is comfortable with that. The page is like, yeah, I could pick something on Wednesday and start learning it and then go, whoa, that's not it. This is it over here. And they're like, okay, that's fine. I'm like, I trust myself. Well, I'll be very general, but in my case, I was in an art form early on. And then I actually changed it to a very high-tech career. So it couldn't have been a more profound change. See, this is what I'm talking about. The changes can be big and totally take you by surprise. And you just have to be able to trust yourself that they will come in their time. And I often look back and go, well, it might have been a good idea if I had made that decision early on instead of the early on thing that I did pick. But then I'm like, no. This is where people say things happen for reasons. It's the way it happened, and you have to enjoy your own story because that's the only one you have. And I always say to people, there's another quality, and tarot is actually good with this, is think of yourself at the beach and the waves, and you're on a boogie board or something. You ride the wave you're on. The wave you're on is the one you have to enjoy and ride it into the sand. Whatever wave you find yourself on, you got to have fun with that wave. That's just my little thing. Man, this coffee seems to be bottomless. I've been drinking it for like 2 hours now. So that's your meditation assignment for the week. To every once in a while, stop yourself, take 3 deep breaths, and just sort of very quietly say, what would the page do? Or what's the page thinking today? You're welcome. I think I'm going to do 2 tarot streams today. I don't usually stream during daylight. It's kind of weird. I mean, I usually start like right around like sunset. Today I decided to do an earlier one because I had my coffee and I was like, what else? I mean, I've got to use the energy. So, but I think I'm also going to do a night stream today. Lurking. You have questions lurking. They're like red question marks lurking. Why some people are born in dysfunctional families with no money and some in functional families or in betweens. Why is, you mean sort of as a philosophical question, like why are some people born into advantage and other people are born to disadvantage? I mean, well, I mean, that's just a product of who your parents are. If your parents are in a situation that's disadvantageous, you're born to who you're born to. You know, we have no choice. We have no choice in that. I was saying the other night on a stream about the Buddhists, and there's a thing I read somewhere, and I can't remember where, but it's a Buddhist thing. And they say that, well, why you're born to it? Okay, so a Buddhist, I have read the Buddhists kind of talk about this sort of thing because they very much believe in reincarnation and how we are dealing with karma. So how things go and how you are in one life set you up for the next life. And it's a very slow cycle of repetition, living lives over and over again. Not always the same life, but just coming to life, dying, coming to life, and a very steady progression of learning how to actually learn how to be a real self and really see reality and develop your actual self. That there's a self, I believe, that's constant. There's yourself, and yourself never dies. You just die, one life dies, one body dies, and then yourself continues and then comes back and is born to new parents, okay? But all of that is kind of based on your karma and what has come before and how far you are in your learning development, okay? This is all the soul learning and slowly becoming better and better. And it can take millions and millions of lives to reach where your soul is going. But they have this thing that I read where they say, being born to a specific pair of parents or a specific parent, because we no longer think of things now necessarily as like these two man and woman parent, or we're much more real now, and we think about how like people come into this world and they're born and they never know they're one biological or even both biological parents, but coming in to the world is, in this Buddhist thing, like being at the bottom of an ocean and swimming up in the dark with your eyes closed and coming up with your head right through the opening in one tiny little life preserver that's floating on top of the ocean somewhere. And that's what it's like to be born to specific parents. And well, some religious people would say that it's all in the hands of a god, or I mean, everyone is different. Everyone's born in different circumstances, and Other people would just say, it's dumb luck. It's just, it's like if you throw a rock up in the air and it falls the exact spot it lands in, why did it land there? It's the same. It's the same thing. But the simple explanation is, if you don't have any money and you have a kid, then that kid is not going to have money either unless circumstances change through some effort or luck or something, Yeah, some people are able to enjoy life no matter what. Some people need to figure out how to do that. Some people don't. Keeping the page in mind, tarot is all about elevating life and making life more enjoyable. Otherwise, why have the tarot? The tarot's not there to make people feel worse or to make life seem, like there's always a dark outcome. It's there clearly as a help to making life more enjoyable. Just gotta stretch. I think I should probably go to the gym tonight. That's what I should do. Saturday is a good time. If you go to a gym, at least around here, on a Saturday evening, right around like 6, it's always like you can get everything like really easy. It's because it's very more empty because everybody is like out on dates and stuff. So Angelic, I see, has queued up. See how I changed the name of my bot in chat that handles these cues to Twitch Tarot Bot. How creative, huh? I should just call it something like Sam. So, Angelic, you know how to present your subject matter. Here we oh no. And meanwhile, I'm shuffling like mad back here. Anyway, yeah, this book. It's actually surprisingly fascinating. And I'm not a religious person. And I really enjoyed it. It's crazy, but whatever. General for new friendship. Okay. Let's see. The tarot is all about friendship in many ways. The tarot goes deep into the personal psyche, and it also has a highly social aspect to it. It goes both directions quite easily. All right. I'm going to do my little mountain peak reading spread again. Let's talk about new friendship. Our topmost point on the mountain Three of Swords reversed. Active. Planning. A lot of consideration, pondering about one thing or another. We're talking about friendship, new friendship. Thought, a lot of thinking. Maybe there's doubt. Maybe there's the card's kind of mentioning hesitancy to take a step, to decide something. Because the 3 is the number of going and doing a thing, putting a thought out there, stating one's intention, taking action on plans. And in the realm of new friendship, it can mean that very simply, it's a number card. It's not a too profound an issue. It can be like there's some scheduling conflict. It's a little hard to get things together to align so that we can go and have a cup of coffee or something. It's maybe a little bit of a like, I don't know. So we got to wait another 2 weeks. And it's getting hard to like get together with this person, or what. It could be that. But it's some little difficulty with putting things into effect that you've been thinking about or trying to work out. Okay, so working out of plans, sharing of ideas, talking about things. A little. You don't quite know how to do that yet. Okay, and over here. And over here. Okay, we got a lot of reversals going on. Now we've got in the conscious sort of foundational card, we've got a sword, the King of Swords. And over here in the more unconscious foundation of our little mountain peak thing, we've got wands. Okay, 4. The 4 is stable. The 4 is secure. The 4 kind of knows it itself. And we're talking about friendship, new friendship. So, of course, one wouldn't necessarily know one's drive, wouldn't know one's feelings quite yet, or how to sort of, you don't quite have the inspiration. It's working with this up here. That if there's some issue getting together or understanding how things are going to sort of play out, then there's also a little bit of unsureness about how to sort of your connection with a new friend. I hesitate to use the word passion, but it's your instinct and your creative energy that goes into building a friendship. And there might be a little bit here of uncertainty about how to express these things with a certain person. Maybe they just tend to talk about things in a different way, or they're from a different background. But we're getting at here sort of intellectual and sort of an instinctive. A little bit of how do I connect, and how do we get together and make this work, And then on the conscious side of the foundation here, you have the King of Swords, which again is communication and plans and thinking things through and different ways of looking at the world and handling, working things out. And the king has these capabilities and is able to do these things effortlessly, and it's not effortless. And so that has to be on your mind, because friendship, especially new friendships, often require work in order to get past the hump, to get past that barrier that's there between new people. And this gets harder and harder the older you get, really. It's much easier when you're younger, I've found, to work out planning difficulties and different attitudes and beliefs. It's easier to ignore those things and just do stuff together anyway. As you get older, it gets more difficult to get around these barriers we put up in our minds. And so this reading is kind of about those barriers, and it's saying those barriers seem to be there. There's a little bit of inability to get past some of them, and it's basically just pointing those out. If you're going to find in this reading a suggestion, then you would have to look at the king. And the king indicates, it puts a flag on, hey, try to work these out. Try to work the issues out. Think it through, and you will arrive at something that will at least give you a chance to build a connection with a new friend, to build something that's consistent and doesn't just mean a couple get-togethers for coffee, maybe a dinner, and then poof, it fizzles out. But it does indicate that there are some it's just some hesitancies, some communication difficulties that have to be sort of there, that are handled, thought through a little bit. And I can relate to these cards myself, because I often have very similar things. It's I have to kind of consciously do the job of the king card over here in the more conscious position and say, look, I've got to actually just say, you know what? I'm going to drop everything next Thursday, and I'm going to make 3 hours free, even though I won't be able to do a tarot stream, to go out and have dinner with this person and have a nice long conversation. I'm just going to do it, because otherwise, if I don't, we'll never work it out. We'll never get to be good friends. You're welcome, Angelic. Friendships are hard, man. I'm telling you. I have no idea how old you are, but as you get older, it's hard. It's like, everybody's busy. People are busy. It's just, and you have to work out all these different things with people in order just to do very simple stuff that when I was when I was 19, it was easy. None of this stuff mattered. So there you go. I'm looking at your emote. Yes, if you just keep shuffling the cards, then you can count on them to be ready. I got to open up. I have this, I always drink this sparkling water. Sparkling water is good because it's got nothing in it. It's got nothing at all in it. I mean, what does this have? Carbonated water and natural flavor. That's it. It's got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 on everything. And yet it tastes good. That's the thing. I drink this sparkling water all the time. And the reason a couple of years ago, I was like really into lemonade, like drinking lemonade. Like you go to the grocery store and you buy those, what are they called? Like pure, I don't know. It's lemonade and they have limeade and that stuff's so good. And I was like, I'd always have to have like 2 bottles in the fridge of that stuff. If I went down to like 1 bottle, I'd panic and I'd go to the grocery store and get like 4 bottles. And every time I got the slightest bit thirsty, I would drink this lemonade. And then I realized, I don't know, I must have read something. I must have just been looking at a news feed and I read an article and it said something about most people get way too much sugar every single day by drinking any kind of fruit juice. And I was like, lemonade is fruit juice. And I was like, oh my God, that's all I'm doing. I might as well be taking a tablespoon full of sugar every hour and just eating it. And I was like, that cannot be good for me. Can't be good for anyone. And so literally on a dime, I just poured it all down the drain and never bought a single bottle of fruit juice again. Never. It might be now 2.5 years, and have not bought one single orange juice, grapefruit, or lemonade, cherry, whatever, nothing. And I was just like, just switch over and do like those, any kind of sparkling water that has like a little of that like essence in it, you know? And after like 1 week, I didn't even notice the difference. I couldn't care less. Didn't miss the lemonade at all. The first week I missed it. I was like, oh my God, I want some lemonade. I don't know what it is. And then you're just like, nope, doesn't care. It's gone. The taste for it's gone. What time is it? I'm probably gonna take my little my break and then come back and do the night. Because I'm going to have to go to the gym and get my, I got to do something. This is pure mental anguish about gyms now. Nothing but guilt because it's been like 4 days, 4 days, maybe 5. But my poor little guilt brain is telling me to go to the gym. And it's a good thing to do. I mean, it's good because sometimes if I go to the gym, then I come back and I'm like, oh, now I have some good, because when you're doing other things like exercise and it's kind of mindless, but actually your mind sometimes is like refreshing itself, and you kind of little things occur to you fleetingly while you're exercising. Sometimes you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to try that. Or I want to do this, a reading about something, when I get home, I'll do that, so. All right. So I'm going to wind it up for now, and then I'm going to go to the gym and then, come back. Oh, and the thing about the gym, this is another bad thing. I shouldn't do this, but I might tonight just because whatever, once in a while, it's okay. There's a food truck that comes now and parks right in front of the gym. And I've only had one, but they have these protein shakes. I had one, a single one, like vanilla, banana, strawberry, oatmeal. And there was one other something in there. It was like ungodly good. And I told my friend that I had this, and she said, are you nuts? You never get something from a food truck, you idiot. They just dump sugar in that stuff. And I was like, oh. And she was like, God, that's just dumb. You go and you work out and then you do that? And I'm like, well, I only did it one time. And she was like, well, don't do it again. And I was like, okay, I won't. But I don't know. If I don't say anything, then I can probably get away with doing it again and having a smoothie after the workout. I could probably do it. But my problem is I tend to rat on myself. I do tend to rat on myself, and it gets me in trouble. So at some point I'll blurt out, oh my God, I'd love to have a shake like I had last Saturday. Oh, well. Okay. So I'm going to wind it up, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to try to walk by that food cart and not get a protein shake, and then come back and stream some more. But if I'm streaming and there's a little straw sticking up like right here, then that's the evidence that I actually went to the food truck. All right. I'm going to go to my stream ending screen. Later.